Hello Glaucosama family. Today I'm making this video to answer one question. How will FNAF end? And when will FNAF end? But before we get started, make sure you guys hit like and subscribe. I love all of y'all. I'm gonna see y'all in the video. And thank you for all the support in the recent videos. I really appreciate all of y'all. And yeah, let's keep the Glaucosama family growing.
I always come back.
It's the most famous line in horror as of now. But for most FNAF fans, it's starting to feel like a threat. We've had 3 definitive endings so far, yet the story keeps growing.
Listen and be full.
Connection terminated. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
With the second movie hitting theaters recently and The Secret of the Mimic expanding the lore into the 1970s, we already knew that this series was going to go back into, the 1970s. But now Secret of the Mimic making it pretty definitive within the lore that these characters were involved in the 1970s. Everyone is asking the same question. How does this actually end? And when will this actually end? Today we're looking at the 3 realistic ways that Scott Cawthon will finally close the doors on Freddy Fazbear for good. Realistically, the first ending we'll probably get is the cinematic one, as most people believe that the movies will just be a trilogy and nothing more. I mean, of course, maybe 6 Five Nights at Freddy's movies would be pretty incredible, but I think after like through 4 or 5 it would be pretty stagnant, especially with the performance of the second movie, which was 50-50. The critics seem to hate it, but Scott Cawthon has confirmed that the movies are going to be a trilogy. Unlike the games, the movies have a clear narrative arc. With the FNAF 2 movie released in late 2025, we're heading toward a massive showdown in the 3rd film. The series will likely end with The Happiest Day, a literal release of the spirits, once the movie trilogy ends in either 2026 or 2027. That timeline is sealed. It provides the closure the games have always dodged. And of course, when looking into the movies, it is a lot more clear and concise what these movies are trying to portray, because it is in a movie format. I mean, they have to start with a beginning, a climax, and an ending. But within the games, since there is so much meta lore that we have to, deep within and theorize, and so much of the profit with Five Nights at Freddy's is how invested these fans are with the lore, obviously we won't get a clear and concise ending within the games compared to the movies. In the game universe, we aren't fighting ghosts anymore, we're fighting a program. The Mimic arc has moved the series from supernatural horror to sci-fi horror, which is pretty mixed received, but at the end of the day, this is just what the series has become. To end the games, we don't need fire, we need a delete button. Many theorists believe that the game series will conclude with a total system wipe. A protagonist, likely Cassie or maybe a returned Gregory, will have to destroy the Faz entity servers by destroying the digital footprint of Afton's legacy, the Mimic, and can no longer replicate the murders. This ends the Steel Wool era by removing the villain that just can't die. And of course, this would be a pretty good ending, I guess, but would it really be that satisfying to watch this newer version of the lore end like this and then the entire series end like this? I don't know. We recently had Stranger Things season 5 end, and it was pretty anticlimactic, and I feel like if they were to end the games like this, then people would also feel this sort of like, I don't know, unease, like an IP ending, but at the same time not ending in the way that people really wanted it to, if you feel what I'm saying. I mean, I don't think we'll ever get an ending like FNAF 6, and that's the problem. FNAF 6 was the original ending of Five Nights at Freddy's 2, and when you look back into that ending for that game, it was what every fan wanted. It was a satisfying ending. We had William Afton finally killed by his partner, his original partner, Henry Emily, after, Henry Emily's daughter had been killed years ago. He finally got his revenge. And there's something satisfying with all of the animatronics being lured, tricked by Henry Emily, and Henry Emily trapping everyone within a pizzeria and burning the entire list of characters, as well as the devil, the demon himself, William Afton, and himself, Henry Emily. And so we have the entire series just burnt away. Like Old Man Consequences used to say, let their demons be with their demons. FNAF 6 in Ultimate Custom Night, for one, incorporated all of the good things about this series. It incorporated horror, it incorporated a good, well thought out story, and it also incorporated a lot of answers that we needed. Of course, it created some more answers within Pizza Simulator for one, but at the end of the day, I still think that that series, or the series within itself, would have been better off it had just ended with FNAF 6. Of course, now jumping into the newer series, the most realistic ending for the franchise isn't a jump forward, but a final look back, which is what's kind of currently happening right now. I'm sorry, I thought somebody was knocking on my window. Holy shit. By exploring the 1970s origins, Scott is filling in patient zero of the lore. Once we understand exactly how the first tragedy happened, there are no more secrets to hide. The ending won't be a grand finale, but a lore Bible moment. The games will likely transition into a permanent multiverse or fanverse state, where the main story is finished, but the indie creators continued the legacy under the Fazbear fanverse initiative, which is a mixed bag. You feel me? Because there are so many unanswered questions, and I think that the series took such a pivotal pitch towards becoming something that it really wasn't in the beginning. I mean, obviously FNAF 1 was just a point and click horror game that was pretty creepy. You would get caught by some jump scares, and you know, maybe there were some lore aspects. There were some aspects within the game that were mysteries, and there was mysteries that needed to be solved. Now we have a 3D, three-dimensional game where we walk around and we kind of get scared, but not really. And there's a mimic, and there's a whole lot of more unanswered questions. And now we're trying to go back so that we can fill in those gaps. And then it has to fit with the newer stories that are in the future or set in the future. And then you go to Help Wanted, and Help Wanted basically said that all the original games were baloney, but now they're not baloney, but they are, but they're also made by a rogue developer. You understand what I'm saying? It is so convoluted, and I think that the reason why Click Team decided to say that about those games and then make these sort of newer games that are much more concise within their storytelling, but at the same time leave some questions unanswered, is because they have a plan. They have a plan involved. They have a plan. They actually have a plan to end this game, as opposed to Scott Cawthon, who was going to end this game in 4 games, but because he wasn't able to answer all those questions concisely and the theorists weren't able to answer those questions, he decided to do 2 more. And then after that, he got more and more money, as more money poured into the Five Nights at Freddy's, and now we have the Five Nights at Freddy's IP, which is just a complete 180 of the original Five Nights at Freddy's. But that's where I'm going to end the video here, guys. If you guys really think that Five Nights at Freddy's is going to end anytime soon, I really doubt it. So I don't think you have to worry about when. If you think that Five Nights at Freddy's is going to end in a certain way, well, it probably will end that way, because that's just how things are. Things end, and good things always have to end. So it's not a sad thing that we will eventually grow apart, and you'll eventually grow apart from this series, as well as the series will just end up dying and ending, because that's just how things are. Popular things, they have their popularity throughout years, and then there's times where they just die, and that is just a reality of life. You feel me? So, you know what I'm saying, don't feel any sort of way. In my personal opinion, I think that Five Nights at Freddy's ending will probably be pretty anticlimactic, and there will always be some unanswered questions when you look back into this series, especially a series like Five Nights at Freddy's that it had too many retcons. And honestly, I don't think that Scott Cawthon really had an idea in mind, like as an ending, obviously off the jump. And yeah, that's where I'm gonna end the video, guys. I'm gonna see you guys in the next video. Make sure you guys hit like, subscribe. I love all of y'all, and thank y'all for all the support in these videos. I really appreciate y'all. I'll see y'all later. Bye.